I always thought I knew the sound of my own house. The gentle tick of the clock in the hall, the kettle clicking off just before it boiled dry, the floorboard outside Daniel's old bedroom that sighed when you stepped on it, as if remembering weight that wasn't there anymore. So when the doorbell rang at 10:30 on a Tuesday morning, sharp and insistent, I knew instantly something was wrong. No one rang our bell like that. I wiped my hands on a tea towel and opened the door to find a young delivery driver standing on the step, rain beating on his fluorescent jacket. He held a small, battered cardboard box against his chest. "Morning," he said, glancing down at a handheld scanner. "Package for Daniel Whitcomb." The name hit me like a dropped plate. "I think you've made a mistake," I said too quickly. "My son's away, he's traveling for work." The driver frowned. "That's the address I've got, love." He turned the box so I could see the label. D. Whitcomb, Flat 2B, 14 Ashgrove Road. Our address. My throat tightened. When was it sent? "Yesterday afternoon," he said. "Express delivery." I stared at the box as if it might explain itself. Daniel was in Edinburgh, that's what he'd told me. A 3-month contract. Consulting work. Late nights, hotel breakfasts, rushed phone calls where he sounded tired but cheerful. This box hadn't come from Edinburgh. The return address was handwritten, smudged by rain. Harper and Son Storage, Bristol. Bristol. I signed for the package with a hand that didn't quite feel like mine. The driver gave me a sympathetic smile, the kind people give when they think you're just another mum whose grown child still has parcels sent home. "Have a good day," he said. I didn't answer. Inside, I set the box on the kitchen table and sat opposite it, the way you might sit across from someone you're afraid to confront. Daniel had moved out 4 years ago, but this house still bent itself around his absence. His mug at the back of the cupboard, his old coat hanging by the door because I couldn't bring myself to give it away, his room upstairs, carefully turned into a guest room that no one ever used. I picked up the box. It wasn't heavy, but it felt dense, like it held something that didn't want to be opened. I told myself there was a simple explanation. He'd forgotten to change an address. He'd ordered something online months ago, a mistake, 100 harmless reasons. Still, my fingers trembled as I cut the tape. Inside was a neatly folded jumper, dark blue, still wrapped in tissue paper. Beneath it, a thin file folder, and at the bottom an envelope with my name on it. "Mum, just that." I sat back in my chair, heart thudding. The jumper was Daniel. I recognized it instantly. I'd bought it for him 3 Christmases ago from a little shop in Bath. He'd worn it constantly until it began to fray at the cuffs. But this one was clean, carefully folded, as if someone had taken time with it. The folder contained documents, photocopies of contracts, bank statements, and a printed email chain that made my stomach drop. They weren't work contracts. They were rental agreements, short-term lets, storage unit receipts, all in Bristol, all dated over the last 8 months. 8 months. I picked up the envelope last. Inside was a single sheet of paper, Daniel's handwriting unmistakable, neat, careful, like he'd written it slowly. "Mum, if you're reading this, it means I've finally run out of ways to lie without breaking something important. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I didn't want you to worry, or to look at me differently. I'm not in Edinburgh. I haven't been for a long time. I'll explain everything, I promise, just not like this. Please don't come looking for me. I love you. Dan." I read it 3 times before the words sank in. I wasn't supposed to come looking, which of course meant I had to. Ashgrove Road was quiet, the sort of street estate agents describe as up-and-coming when they mean neglected. Daniel's old flat was a bus ride away, and Bristol was less than 2 hours by train. I packed an overnight bag, locked the house, and left a note on the kitchen table in case Daniel rang while I was gone. Habit, I suppose. Mothers never quite stopped leaving notes. The storage unit was easy to find. Harper and Sons sat on the edge of an industrial estate, all corrugated metal and security cameras. I gave my name at reception, hands steady despite the storm inside my chest. "I think my son rents a unit here," I said. "Daniel Whitcomb." The woman behind the desk typed for a moment, then looked up. "Yes, Unit 317. She slid a clipboard towards me. "Are you authorized?" I hesitated, then nodded. "I'm his mother." She studied my face for a second longer than necessary, then sighed. "He added you last week." Last week. Unit 317 was small, bare concrete floor, a single strip light humming overhead. Inside were boxes, stacked neatly, labeled. Clothes, books, kitchen, personal. I opened the one marked personal first. Photos, childhood drawings, my old birthday cards to him kept all these years, his university certificate, a cracked phone switched off. And at the bottom, a folded hospital wristband. Daniel's name printed clearly across it. I sank onto the floor. He'd been here, not traveling, not working late, but hiding, sorting his life into boxes piece by piece. I didn't know how long I sat there before my phone rang. "Mom." His voice was thinner than I remembered, tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. "I got your package," I said quietly. Silence stretched between us. "I didn't mean for you to open it," he said. "I know," I replied, "but I did." Another pause, then softer. "Where are you?" "At your storage unit." He let out a breath that sounded like relief and fear tangled together. "Okay," he said, "then you already know it's bad." We met that evening in a cafe near Temple Mead Station. Daniel looked older, leaner, like someone who'd been carrying a secret heavier than himself. He told me everything. The job that fell through, the consultancy that quietly dissolved, the months of pretending, of moving from short-term lets to friends' sofas, of telling himself he'd fix it before I ever needed to know. "I didn't want to come home a failure," he said, staring into his tea. I reached across the table and took his hand. "You came home the moment you told me," I said. He smiled just a little, the same smile he'd had as a boy when he'd finally admitted he'd broken something. The house sounded different when we returned together the next day. Not fuller, just honest again. And the doorbell. Still sharp, but no longer frightening.